Sit up straight and tall. So when we're trying to center, pay more attention to your exhale. When we're trying to center, we're trying to get the mind to be less active, because its activity requires it to be ungrounded. The activity of mind requires you to be disconnected. That's not your fault. That's how the energy goes. That's how it travels, right? Your mind and your imagination is not as subject to gravity, to limitations, right? That's its strength. So as you sit up straight and tall and pay more attention to your exhale, it has its derivation, your mind has its derivation in the empty part of your experience. So what Stephen was saying about being able to become patient with the process of yoga, right? That's helping you gain access to a quality of sensation that actually helps calm the mind down. So there's a reason why yoga is going to be talking about, yogic realization, we're talking about dissolving the ego, becoming a pure observer, transcending subject and object, because it's trying to get you access to a quality of sensation that travels better from what's connected to what's unconnected, from your body, which, by the way, is perpetually present. It's the only thing that never leaves you until you're gone, right? It's the stability of human consciousness. So Buddha's, even the historical Buddha is known to say the first foundation of mindfulness is the body, right? Because it's got the grounded part. So when you're trying to center and feel your feet on the floor and your sitting bones, you're trying to allow in grounding that travels from body to mind, but your mind's got to receive it. So this is why I don't want you to think about your feet on the floor, on your foot pedals. I want you to allow it. That's why allowing is a profound part of asana. The receiving part in the quiet is paradoxically the connected part. So soften around the forehead, on the forehead, temples, jaw, inside of the mouth, because you're making your mind receive what's more quiet. I hope as you do that, it kind of makes you want to inhale, that you have enough yoga practice, rather than when you receive the quiet, you grip and hold down, you actually start to let your breath be an animating energy in the quiet, the inhalation. Stay steady on the exhalation. Notice that I've told you that exhalation and awareness of exhalation engages your parasympathetic nervous system. There's research on that. So as you inhale and expand, exhale, notice exhale from your back body, pushing it slightly forward. So your shoulder blades drop and the front of your chest lifts. Now start your mind in the process of using the body to ground. Now, as you're breathing, softening inside of your mouth, feel your sitting bones in your feet. Allow the structure that is your body to be a signpost for the mind. Don't wonder, are my toes painted, fingernail polished well? Did I dry them off well? Don't think about your feet. Feel your feet. Feel your sitting bones. Stay connected to what's unchanging. Allow the change of the inhalation and the release and grounding of exhalation. You're not dwindling on exhalation. You're preparing to move in the world. You take in the world, there's a lot of like, you take in the world or the divine on inhalation. You appreciate it in the pause, what Stephen was calling patience. You give it back. You don't steal on the exhalation, and you prepare yourself for service. That's one description I read one time. So, re-soften the jaw, the inside mouth, lips together, teeth slightly apart. Feel the sitting bones and the feet. Start to lift the chest, move in multiple directions, broaden slightly across the back ribs. Balance your head over your neck. Empty the vessel in order to fill the vessel. This might be a really good place to be grateful.
1,400 feet, you will reach your destination.
Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Good, and then release, lift your sternum up towards your chin. Take your chin down over your sternum. Don't be in a rush. Why would I say this every class for you to pay attention to? Make it a process. Don't make it fast. Something integrates with the world when you lift your chest. In order to truly let that be maximized, your mind has to sink and be led by the center of your chest. Yogis before us think this is the best posture to breathe in. It's a bandha. Raise your head up and open your eyes. I've been thinking about why there seems to be a trend of incredibly gifted artists tend to be self-destructive. Visionaries tend to have a destructive side. It's because their minds are having to travel out of the body too far in order to create the tension to create, right? And so it's like, what's interesting now, come everyone lean forward and lean back, is that a grounded mind, you and I don't have to be Van Gogh or Picasso, right? But we do need to allow creativity to come through us, right? So I'm going back and forth, right? Because creativity, unfortunately, requires an ungrounded energy. But so does anxiety, right? So does being anxious, and go back and forth. So we're just moving like we always do. We're trying to introduce and create more sensations from my body to start touching and opening my mind, right? Because when my mind goes away from my body, it struggles, it starts to judge, it starts to have fear, and I trigger my sympathetic nervous system.
Let me go.
Good. So I think someone's got their thing unmuted, unless you're trying to ask a question, right? So you're going back and forth. Now ground your hands. So sit with that after that movement. Hopefully you kind of like, those snow globs or whatever, you turn upside down, whatever they're called. Hopefully you got a little bit of flutter. Now ground it. Ground your hands on your legs or on the table. Ground your feet. Lift your chest. Drop your shoulder blades. Spread them. Hit down with your sitting bones. Lift up through the chest. Start the process of moving in multiple directions. Keep the inside of your mouth soft. The skin on your face soft. Have the softness and the fullness at the same time. Take a couple breaths. The particular asanas don't matter so much. They only matter how much they reveal. So those of you that strain to do all the physical part of it, that's cool. Go ahead. But no, that's not the yogic part of it. But the truth is physical helps, right? Because the body helps, because the body's grounded. Lift up again. So as you take weight off your base and let your spine hang, I want you to pay attention to the lightness and space you feel in your back, right? Now, I'm going to tell you that the space between your vertebrae really freaking matters, right? Like it's one of those energies that like, holy crimes. And in fact, we usually don't pay attention to our backs until they start hurting, right? So now I'm coming forward and lifting up and then releasing. If you can't lift up, just lift your chest. I'm just trying to coordinate. What I'm trying to do on my wheels is coordinate the lift in my chest with movement, right? And then back. So like, it doesn't matter. Remember, there's 820,000 yoga poses, or 8,200,000. I think that's the number, right? So I'm making one right here, right? I'm trying to, so as I'm coming forward, changing gravity, lifting my chest, engaging my arms, right? Launching upward. So this is a movement that's a good movement, right? So if you can't like ground your hands, you can use your elbows, you can do whatever. If you can't do any of that, just move like this, right? But so we're trying to get movement, some rhythm, some space, right? Some coordinating, right? So now I've been focusing more on the upper body.
Boulevard.
And then sit and just ground for a second. Now, what I'm going to do when I do the same thing and I lift up, I'm going to try to have, my mind's already pretty occupied. Remember, the mind's the disconnected part. So it's trying to find connection, right? So I'm getting all this movement on my upper body. But now next time when I come forward and lift, I'm going to want to pay more attention and allow and try to feel sensation in my feet. Right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just adding another layer, right? So I'm coming forward. I'm lifting up. I'm hitting down through my heels. I'm breathing. And then release. Right? Again, in, up. As I move my spine up, I'm pressing down through my feet. So some of you are probably able to use this type of more integrated movement to eventually help you stand more in your day, right? Looking at you, Renee, right? And then release. So I'm actually trying to coordinate my whole body in a flowing movement. Isn't that what asana is? Including as much of you as you can in movement. So I'm hoping that you realize that when you come forward and you lift up and you hit down through your feet, you should inhale. And when you release down to gravity, you exhale. You could try to confuse yourself and do the opposite. That kind of doing it directly wrong usually makes me nauseous, right? Because I've actually learned a lot of this, not just from yoga, but from living in the body. It's a lot more intuitive knowledge than you know, that you've already acquired, right? And then I'm going to sit and I'm going to ground. And now I'm going to first feel the flutter of having turned the globe upside down, right? And I'm going to lift my chest.
Elking Junior Boulevard.
and ground. Now I'm going to come forward. I want to increase the, remember, we're talking about making the space, the energy that tends to be ungrounded, more actively integrated with my body. One of the best ways to realize the body is to know where the earth is, right? So lean forward. I've got my forearms on my thighs. I'm pushing down. I'm making sure I surrender to the inevitable fall. And then I lift. I'm not lifting against the fall, then I'm going to drop my chest again. I'm not trying to erase the fall with the lift of my chest. I'm trying to deliver the fall up through my chest. Hit down with your sitting bones, down with your feet, lift up, expand across the collarbones, right? Make this a pose, and then release. So the mind gets a little bit afraid of the emptiness. When it starts judging your emptiness, you're going to have more, you're going to feel more anxious, right? Which is easy to feel when you think, oh, I got a medical condition I can't control, or I have this I can't control today, right? Your mind's going to get caught up in that stuff, right? So now I'm coming down towards the earth, not trying to erase the fall, but integrate it into the up. Roll the shoulders back. Now I'm going to spend extra time to let my rib cage enter the pose, drop my shoulder blades, feel my sitting bones, lift my chest, breathe, and then release. Gonna go sideways again, even more this time. I'm gonna widen the arc. I started small because more isn't more, right? Going like what Stephen was saying, hey, there's a buck in my yard. He's got big, holy crimes. It's a 6-point buck right out my window right now. I think it might be chasing a female. Damn it. Right? And then I'm gonna go, so I'm getting bigger in space. I'm gonna go back over my chair. Oh my God, I'm gonna start living in more space. One of the things that's really weird about feeling anxious, it pretty much usually means you're receding out of the space of your body. And the water's pooling in your head, right? But it's not water because it's not that nourishing, right? Something dry is pooling in your head, right? And then the mind's judging it. So I'm just trying to take more space. And so we're going to take the arm up over the head. Done this 100 times, right? In these classes, right? But like we're just going back and forth because I want movement here. In the disconnected energy, I want my body to start leading my mind, right?
Turn left, then turn right.
Someone's got to turn left and turn right. Whoever had that happen in their house needs to mute themselves. And then back to center. I'm so happy I've got a spine, so I'm going to touch it again.
Boulevard.
I'm going to touch it through movement, right? Movement helps you access. Movement helps you experience, your mind start to feel things that it forgets about. It's amazing how much we forget about our spine, right? It's amazing. Inhale up, exhale down. Now I'm making this a flow practice right now. So I'm going to inhale up, first side again, down. I'm going to grab like it matters. Inhale up, although I'm speaking, so I can't inhale because I'm expiring air. I'm exhaling air. But I'm trying to now, and I'm being at first aware of the transition between the hands, and I want to make it smooth, right? Like I'm a canoe going over water, not a motorboat, right? I'm not making the waves choppy anymore. I'm trying to like make it be gliding, right? So now as I'm paying more attention to the change in my hands, now when I go up on this, in the second on the first side again, I'm going to try to hit down through my, this is my left arm. I'm going to hit down through my right foot.
Your left.
And then down. And then release. Right arm up, left foot down. So I'm trying to coordinate the movement of my limbs traveling through my spine, right? Back and forth, because both hemispheres of my brain need to be lit. So when I go up with my left and down through my right foot, both sides of my hemispheres of my brain are getting activated, right? I'm crisscross applesauce. I say that to myself when I'm crisscrossing poses, right? Because it helps, because I want this to be fun, not heavy, right? So I'm doing this movement, right? Because, and then release. So the mind has a tendency, because it's like fundamentally afraid, I think, of the emptiness. It tends to make that empty, intangible part be heavy, or be a place of fear, or be sad. That's the mind's reaction to a part of your experience, right? And it's like, I want my body to wear some of this, not just my mind to try to carry it. Because guess what? Your mind can't carry this energy. Why? Because your mind's disconnected. That's its strength. Your mind does not carry energy, right? Your body does. And then sit in alignment again. Now I want to take up more space, because I'm trying to stay centered on the energy that we did in centering, having it here while I'm moving my body, right? So now I'm taking up more space. And I'm going to rock again. You know why? Because rhythm is freaking smart. Rhythm, music, right? Nietzsche saying life without music would be a mistake. Well, it's actually rhythm. Music is just an expression of rhythm, right? And so I'm going to try to have a rhythm. I could say something barfy like the well-done yoga pose is like a musical score, except it's kind of true, right? It's got rhythm and it repeats, right? So now I'm, instead of like I'm going from side to side, changing gravity, right? Increasing the earth as I push down, lifting my spine, not to erase the earth, but to give it expression, right? Because what happens when you're anxious, the mind gets caught in the ether, gets caught in the sky, in the air. But the energy of the sky and the energy of the air is actually a strength. It's just not very grounded, right? You've got to figure out how to have a much bigger world, having the possibility of the sky, but keep it grounded. That's what you're studying in asana. So I'm going to sit in the center again. Then I'm going to move back to the midline, because I know Tadasana is integral in every level of realization. And I hope after all the times, so I'm pushing my legs together because I want alignment to feed the energy right and keep it right centered down my spine, right? So I'm pushing in. I hope you realize that there's a grounding energy in Tadasana that truly, truly matters. Now I'm going to keep this grounded energy and awareness of it at a subtle level, keep my lips together, teeth slightly apart, then activate it by lifting my chest, dropping my elbows down, feeling my sitting bones, pressing down from the inner groin, extending from the inner groin to the inner knee to the inner heel, and taking a couple of breaths. There's room for you to be grounded and open, not just open. Opening without grounding will feel like vulnerability. Take your arms wide, legs wide, pardon me, right? And this is people that have been traumatized. I think, I'm going back and forth again, confuse the sensation of being open and full of possibilities coming from the sky, right? They confuse that with being vulnerable. It's because they're not grounded enough. If the openness comes too fast, right? And then sit for a second. So I remember, maybe you remember at one time, and maybe you still are, a little bit afraid of the dark, right? Well, there's calamity in the dark if you're not careful, right? You might bump into something, you might trip over something. But remember, like if you be like at night when you're alone, if you start becoming aware of how alone you are, like say you're alone in your house, and you start thinking about the edges of darkness that are around your house, and you start, like, your mind starts going, well, what could be out there? Where do you think the boogeyman comes from, right? From the mind's awareness of the edges, or the space under your bed. Oh my God, there's a boogeyman under my bed. Think about when you're a little kid, or in my closet. The mind struggles at the edges. That's not the mind's fault. It's just overactive because it doesn't know the sensation of grounding. So I'm sitting here, putting my hands on my knees, coming forward on my sitting bones, so I feel like I'm in charge a little bit more. So I got to do some things to let my mind feel like it's in charge. Don't want my mind to be scared all the time. So I'm leaning forward on my sitting bones, lifting my chest, balancing my head over my neck. Oh my God, there's a whole bunch of things my mind doesn't know. Oh my God, there's a whole bunch of day I haven't had yet. There's a whole bunch of ways I could be wrong and make mistakes all day long. Oh my God, what about the mistakes I made yesterday? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That type of energy is not that helpful. Breathe instead. On the exhalation, drop your shoulder blades. Lift your sternum. Come back into the world. Self-doubt. It's hard to doubt as much when your chest is lifted. It's easier to doubt more when your chest is dropped. It's easier to be more depressed when your chest is dropped. Open it up again. Support the lift in your chest by migrating your spine forward into your body. As you do that, and let it be a nice movement. So migration, I didn't say force it forward. I said a migration. And from the softness of the migration that comes from a more patient mind, echoing back to Stephen, right? I'm going to broaden across the collarbones. I'm going to soften the inside of my mouth. I'm moving my jaw so I can remind my brain that it's receiving stuff from my mouth and let it pass to my mind. Good, and then release. So the mind, and then bring your legs back together. So the mind, one of the mind's default positions to dealing with the vulnerability of the seeming vulnerability of what's empty, right, is to want to feel strong there. So we talk about things like empowerment, right? So I'm going back and forth, and I'm bringing with me all the quiet, right? And I'm like, wait, so how do I actually empower, right, to this more awareness of the sky, that I don't want to look at the sky all the time, right? I don't want to be aware of how big the sky is with my mind. I just want to have faith that it is there and it's big, right? And then take your legs wide again. So now I want you to lean over, ground, lift. So this is a pose we do a lot, right? And then I'm going to let this arm go up. I'm going to maybe try to think about, wait, maybe I'll tickle this guy there. But I'm going to do it by being aware of my sitting bones, by being aware of my feet. And then I'm going to tickle. I'm not going to tickle too fast. I'm going to stay grounded. Good. And then release. Be in the center. I'm going to come forward, over, find the earth. Boom. You know why? Because my mind will go to the sky too fast. Right? And then I'm going to take my arm up. What's funny with someone with PTSD, so I'm grounding in order to tickle. I'm not looking at the sky going, oh, I want to get to the sky, I want to get to the sky. No, I'm grounding, I'm staying down. And then I'm trying to tickle. By pressing through, this is my right arm, left sitting bone, left foot, crisscross applesauce to the hemispheres of the brain, and then release. What's interesting about, and I'm about to do a lecture for Bessel van der Kolk's group on stress, right? On actually PTSD, but is that one of the if you try to solve traumatic energy in your body, just psychologically, right? And you try to do it through just empowering choice up here, right? Remember, when someone's anxious, too much choice makes it worse. They need simplicity, right? The idea that you might be able to, agency is important, right? But agency without necessarily maintaining agency and not always having to be in control of stuff is the paradox that helps trauma heal, right? And also helps anxiety. Like, you're never going to be able to really heal anxiety by being able to control everything in your environment. Because guess what? You never get to control everything in your environment, ever, right? So it's not about giving the mind what it craves. It's about shifting gears to have the mind receive more. What's paradoxical about people that live with trauma is that they lose the ability to receive because the mind's in charge of everything. The mind needs not to be in charge of everything. Now remember, you're getting my views on trauma, right? But it has to do with anxiety because that's one of the symptoms of trauma. So lift your chest. I'm going to try to teach empowerment through the body to the mind. I'm going to start trying to create grounded sensations in the body so the mind doesn't have to spin. I'm going to soften the inside of my, I'm lifting my chest. I'm softening the inside of my mouth. I'm softening the skin of my face. And I'm engaging with my strength. Right? But I'm not using my strength to control everything. I know that I am in charge of my space in my body. No matter what happened in the past, no matter what's going to happen in the future, I'm in charge of it right here and right now. Right? And I need my mind to receive more. One of the ways to, when you're really stressed out, your mind's not letting you receive. It thinks it's in charge. Breathe. Good. And then release. Inhale. So take your left arm up, right? So I'm hemisphereing, right? So I'm left arm up, right sitting bone down, right foot down. Oh, I'm going to lift my chest. Oh, I forgot about my head. Oh, I forget about stuff in my poses. Especially when I'm talking. You mean I'm not a perfect practitioner? No, actually, I'm not. Every single day, I have to do the pose again, right? And then over, find a place for this arm because everything needs to flow into a singular hole, right? So I've got my arm behind my wheelchair. I'm grabbing on my leg. Let me try to show you what I'm doing, right? And I'm not grabbing on my leg to crank the twist. I'm grabbing on my leg up here, arm here, so I can ground. So my mind doesn't lapse me into violence. When the mind is ungrounded in a yoga pose, you will eventually get hurt. If the mind is manifesting too much will against the body, you will get hurt. It's just a matter of time. So I'm going to let lightness into between my shoulder blades. In other words, I'm going to let the sky in, space in, the air in between my shoulder blades. I'm going to take that energy and ground it down through my sitting bones and feet. Inhale, I'm going to lift under my collarbones. Exhale, I'm going to revolve. And everything's coming with me, right? Like the whole space in my room here, it's twisting with me. I'm creating a ripple because I'm connected. But the only way for me to know the ripple is to ground my sitting bones and ground my feet. Good, and then release. Back to center. Ooh, I want to like find Tadasana because now I'm about to do the other side. Inhale up. So I'm going to call this my right arm. I think I'm mirroring you, right? I'm hitting down through my left sitting bone and my left foot. I'm dropping my shoulder blade down so I can tickle the sky right underneath his chin. I'm going to tickle there in order to really tickle with stability. Because if I'm off balance, I won't be able to tickle. The sky will feel it. So I'm going to like ground down to tickle the chin of the sky. And then exhale and bring it there. I know these are barky descriptions, but what if they're all true, right? Lift up. So I'm getting this connection, right? I got my arm grounded here. It's a little bit different on this side. I got my leg. I'm not grabbing my leg on this side. I'm actually like the back of my hand can work to my leg better, right? I can't reach as far on the other side, right? And now, instead of just lifting on the collarbones and go too hard towards the sky, I'm going to make space between my sternum. I'm going to open it to sky energy. Then I'm going to distribute that across my collarbones. In order to open to the sky energy, or the open air, the air, right? I have to hit through my sitting bones. The air needs structure, or else it's just air. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Now I'm lifting under my collarbones. I'm making sure I'm staying integrated to my feet, to my sits bones, to the center of my chest. I'm twisting my spine because I'm changing the energy below my mind. Good, and then release. Get centered. Feel your legs. Lean forward. Find the earth. Lift with the center as you find the earth. Lift towards the center. Lift the center of your chest up towards the sky. Don't force it. Air will invade every aspect of your pose. Air is just waiting for you to realize it without your mind judging it. Openness is hope. Except we're heading into an election that maybe I think might hurt our democracy. We'll see. So I'm going to breathe here and be solid. Good, and then release. So I'm going to lean over again. I'm going to take up space. I'm going to engage and lift and hit down. And now, right, I'm leaning this way, but first I'm going to push down on I'm going to get the space between my lower abdomen and my sitting bones to elongate. And then I'm going to take my arm up, keep it elongated. And I'm going to tickle the sky again, but make sure I keep the earth on the energy of my shoulder blade. The earth in my left hip and my right hip. Tickling this chin again. Opening up. Letting everything be true. And knowing that I'm strong. Because I have a body. And then back. I'm strong because I have a body. Not because I have a mind. Minds can help. If you leave a mind alone too long, it's going to weaken. It's going to get fragile. So I'm going to lean the other way. Don't just try to deal with your anxiety with your mind or anxiousness. So I'm leaning, I'm finding earth, I'm leaning forward. I'm getting the space in my lower abdomen, right, between and differentiating my sitting bones from the lift in my spine. I'm opening my chest, rolling the shoulders back. Then I'm inhaling and taking my arms up. I'm trying to maximize grounding on the downside and the inner edge of this shoulder blade in order to tickle the chin of the sky. So Pat, you have your arm way overhead. Have it straight up from your shoulder. Breathe. Good. And then back to center. Be in the center. It's kind of funny how much human attention has gone towards the sky, lean forward, and away from the earth. Why? Because the air is easier to manipulate. Oh, we've had, throughout human history, we've had some great manipulators of air, of possibility, and they usually put fear in there to manipulate us. Not for me. I'm taking my own air, not just my breath. I'm taking my own openness. Doesn't mean I'm right all the time. I'm not. Means that the air is mine. The air in my consciousness, the emptiness of my consciousness, it's mine. I'm going to be very careful to listen to someone who's telling me what that is. I'm going to exercise it for myself. Breathe. So I'm grounded, I'm forward, I'm activated, my shoulder blades are down. I'm being strong right now. Lifting my chest, balancing my head over my neck, feeling the empty space in the center of my chest, grounding down through my sitting bones and heel. I'm being strong. And here at the end, I'm going to soften the inside of my mouth. And guess what? I'm even going to freaking smile a little bit. You know why? Because can't touch this MC hammer. breathe. Then I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to go back quick. I'm going to go back over the back of my chair and go, holy cow, I'm going to spring it skyward. And then back to center. And then I'm going to very smoothly inhale, take the left arm up, not as hard this time. Exhale, revolve, make this all a rhythm. Know that the center of my chest, the emptiness that my brain usually tries to have, or my mind tries to have and gets anxious, I'm going to let be in my body, for God's sakes. I'm going to show my mind I'm strong by turning my spine. I got this. This experience is mine, not the boogeyman under the bed, not the stuff I can't control. And then come on, back to center. So I'm going to teach empowerment from body to mind. With rhythm, with movement, with openness, with tickling the chin of the sky rather than being afraid of all the possibility out here. Right? I'm going to ground it. I'm going to have it. And remember to soften my jaw. And I'm here, maybe going to smile just a little bit because, damn it, there's a secret between me and the universe. And then I'm going to come back. And I'm going to be in the center. I'm going to reposition. Instead of just trying to go to the center quickly, I'm going to put more input from my body to my brain and let it seep into my mind. I'm going to practice some symmetry, right? Feeling now, once I get that grounded energy, each foot, each knee, each hip, each shoulder, the side of each head. I'm going to practice symmetry before I go into Shavasana. People who've been really traumatized and have had, unfortunately, a lot of darkness in their life can be pretty afraid of the empty space, and for good reason. The mind's been trying to control it too long, trying to save the person. What's interesting and an innovation is our first line of defense against threat is to act with the ungrounded part of our consciousness. Here, I'm going to support it. Feel the symmetry in my body. Feel the structure that my body provides. Lips together, teeth slightly apart. Good, and then release. And now I'm going to get prepared for Shavasana. So I'm going to get settled again. I'm going to lean back on my chair because I want the earth to hold me up. Put my fingertips together. Balance my head over my neck. I'm going to be steadfast and spacious in Shavasana. Feel your breath. Notice the unchanging while your breath changes. There's stability even though things are changing.